Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ongoing Mastery, Presenting and Speaking, the podcast, and today the conversation. Hello, Kelly. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Kirsten?
I am good. Today we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial journey because we've had some stuff like all entrepreneurs. We've had some stuff happen, haven't we?
Yes, we have. And like all entrepreneurs, but in our own way. Also,
Yes.
like all entrepreneurs.
And the reason we're doing this episode this way is because there's a lot of people that we know that are also in the entrepreneurial space, and it
Yeah.
gets hard to remember that everything that changes, even if it's not the original direction you want it to be going in, is actually really good data for you to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So I everyone who's watching the video should be watching Kelly's face during this part because um Kelly and Danny were very, very patient with me because I am not great at customer relationship management stuff. Like tracking and being able to keep the details and dot the I's and cross the T's is not my gift. Um, Notice again Kelly's face as she's going, no, no, it's not. And
I, on the other hand, am a t-shirt owning member of the Oxford Comma Club. So,
yes, and
yes.
I respect that. The Oxford comma rules. So I have been trying to find a CRM that would work for me. And I kept finding ones that were fine, provided that either Kelly or Danny rode herd on me and kind of reminded me to do the stuff, which, as she pointed out to me yesterday, is not actually an effective way of using the tool.
Right. It's a tool that works for me, and I can get you to make it work for you, but it doesn't actually work for you
Yeah, the word
because,
get is
yeah.
operative there.
hmm
So, Kelly, what is it? Why don't you talk for a minute about the tool that you and Danny use and the reaction that Chris and I had to it?
So the tool is called ClickUp, and it has the capacity for multiple tiered levels of task organization and the status of the task and who the task gets kicked to next and deadlines and the whole deal and multiple operational areas, etc., etc.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's incredibly fiddly, but if you like fiddly, it's incredibly satisfying because when it's working, you can look at any project that's there.
Yep.
When is the keyword there? You can look at any project, know whose plate it's on, and when it's moving to the next person's plate. Or you can check in about it and find out what's going on if it's overdue and so on. And for Danny and I, it's terrific. I don't have any problem finishing a task, going in, kicking it to the next person as part of my daily workflow. Or maybe I'll do it at the end of the day, update all the things I worked on.
Yep.
But that kind of thing makes a lot of sense to me. And when we first started using the tool, talking with my husband, also an entrepreneur in the middle of also founding his own company at the same time we're doing this, and his face just blank horror and physically recoiling as I'm talking about all of the little ticky boxes that you can do this and do that and do that. And he couldn't even let me finish the explanation. He's like, I got it. That's great. I'm never using it.
Yeah, the funny thing is that I didn't recoil in horror, but internally I had that sort of same reaction. Chris and I are obviously a lot alike. It's really important, entrepreneurs. If you do not, if you are like me and you are not somebody who is, you are a big picture vision person, you are a driver, you are a person who is like, okay, let's go ahead and get you into the right space, but you are not the, okay, let's fill out this form and let's make sure this is done correctly every Tuesday at 3 p.m. You are not
Mhm.
that person. You need a Kelly and a Danny in your life. Like, you need people who can do that because that still needs to get done. But I kept going, and ClickUp is amazing. I mean, it's a
It
great
is.
tool,
hmm
but it also requires me to behave in a way that is just very alien to me. And so I kept trying, and I kept finding tools, and was frustrating them a little bit, maybe a lot, with yeah, with how much I would start a tool and then within a matter of hours, days, or weeks be like, oh, yeah, so I really have to get back to that. So, in your life, Kellie, do you have any friends that you are the people you go to when you really just need a reality smack upside the head? You wouldn't have anybody like that in your life, do you?
I have a lot of people like that in my life. You're
Yeah,
one of them.
yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, you don't work with anybody like that, do you? Yeah.
No.
So I, at my previous job, worked with this amazing woman who was also a friend of mine named Karen. And Karen Blades she's a fantastic mentor. She's just really, really good at kind of looking at the whole of what you're saying and then going, okay, you're talking about this and that's wonderful, but let's go over here and talk about how you're approaching this
Mm.
and what that's doing. So she at one point said, well, we use Notion and we built our own. And why don't you do that? And I'm like, oh, I'd have to restart it. And no, and flappy hand princess thing. Come to what, 2 weeks ago, I decided, okay, I'll open Notion and see what's in there. And oh, all the stuff that Karen and I built is still there. It's not gone. It's not blocked. Oh, okay. All right. So I didn't realize I had actually moved it to my own account and it wasn't lost to me forever. All right. So then I told Kellie, so I have this tool that I actually built and it works the way my brain does. And she was gracious enough to not make a face of, you've got to be freaking kidding me. But even though she didn't make the face, it was there.
Well, I am a college faculty member who will have students in my office asking questions that are perhaps already on the syllabus. So I have some practice with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tilt and the nod.
The interesting choice you made. Yes. So actually this Friday I am gonna do a 1 hour open on live on LinkedIn. If anybody feels like showing up, they'll show up. I'll let people know about it. But I'm gonna go through my Notion and explain how it works to anybody who cares to be there, because it's one of those things that it makes a lot more sense when you see somebody's completed version than if you're trying to do it for the first time yourself. Because the original versions of this took me weeks, months to do. Yeah. And now this time I'm coming in going fiddle, 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 fiddle.
And we'll put the link to that in the show notes, because this will go live after you've done your walkthrough with Notion.
Yes. And that'll be up on, I no doubt, our YouTube or something.
Yeah.
So Kellie, what other things for the entrepreneurial journey do you think that we should share with everybody today? Because there's several things that you and I talked about.
Yeah.
That would be. So why don't you grab one out of the ether?
So something I want to pick up on that you just said, I read someone of our friends in our network on LinkedIn, and I apologize for forgetting who, made the point recently about failure as not failure, but reframing it as data collection points. That you need data to make decisions, whether that decision is to keep on doing what you're doing or to change it, but you need data. And when you try things, you have data and you need it. And so I loved that way of reframing iterations.
Yep.
That you are going to go through versions of yourself as an entrepreneur, as your business model, as what you are providing. I'm watching my husband's company, and at first they thought it was going to be a product based, and then they're like, maybe it's going to be a service based, and now they're back to product based. But they had to go through the process of thinking through and getting to next stage development, and what would that look like? Not all the way to build out, but far enough to know that they had to pivot. Yeah. And that is just how it is. And the more you can embrace it, the easier the iterations will be.
And for those of you who are watching or listening who aren't, who haven't known us forever, Kellie's husband is a serial entrepreneur. He has successfully created and launched and sent out into the world many, many, many really interesting ventures. So this isn't like somebody who came in and went, oh God, I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
It's like literally these are some very experienced people doing this, and they still had to pivot.
Yep.
So one of the things that I know comes up a lot for me, and Kelly, I think comes up for you sometimes, is it's hard to remember, if you think in terms of, oh, if only I knew at 18 what I know today,
Yeah.
then I'd be so successful, all of these things. And I have to remember that the only way that would work is if the person then has all the knowledge and experience of the person now.
Yeah.
So I had to go through everything. Like the year and a half, 2 years we've been doing this has been amazing. It's been wonderful. It's been terrifying. It's been all the things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all that we got the t-shirt, it's a box of crackers, all the stuff. And it's been incredibly educational
Yeah.
because all the things I'm learning are about how to come closer to the true version of me that the business needs to be for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kelly, what kind of stuff, like it's been a wild ride. What kind of
Yeah.
stuff has it been for you?
So for me, having in my house, my husband being in the middle of startup phase, and here in a big chunk of my professional life being in startup phase, it's been kind of nail biting.
Yeah.
And sometimes when the I really need to think hard is happening for both of you at the same time, that's really nail biting because I don't know what's happening and I can't do anything about it. And I have to be patient because the big picture people are doing the big picture thing. But sometimes when you are out of phase, so so one of you is in the more really precise detail part and one of you's in the big picture part, that's also stressful because now I'm switching back and forth between two separate modes. So it's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting being at the pivot point for two separate but in some ways parallel sets of processes. It's also
Mm-hmm.
been really fascinating for me to watch you come round and kind of keep getting closer, and then something will pull you away, but
Mm-hmm.
then when you come back you're like, no, that was a mistake, right? And that cycle is getting shorter, which is nice,
Yeah.
right? That you are adapting and really integrating into yourself what you need to make your vision be in the
Yep.
world. And
Yep.
that's awesome for me, both as your friend and as your colleague on this adventure.
Yeah, it's one of the things I will advise or just recommend to everybody watching and listening. If you're in the shoes that Kelly and Danny are in of, essentially having to herd the cats. One of the things every Friday we do a Speaker Friend Friday for Innovation Women, and Kelly introduces herself as herder of cats at work training, and Kirsten is the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. One of the things that is really, really important is self-care.
Yeah.
One of the things is energy management, tolerance management, and the ability to step away and go, I need to recharge.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're watching or listening, if you're in one of the roles where you're like Kelly and you're a foundation piece that keeps like this stuff is spinning over here, and you're like, okay, let's just keep it in this container and not like spilling all over the place. That is a very energy intensive work, even if the work is, I need to wait. Like
Yeah.
that is an energy intensive thing. So please, we both encourage you to just, take your time, and for someone in my shoes, my goal that I need to keep coming back to is giving myself grace and giving myself permission to be iterative and to be not, all the things all the time exactly in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
For Kelly, what I need to sometimes remind you of, my dear, is that, while you are Superwoman and you do have superpowers and can leap buildings in a single bound with an Oxford comma in your backpack, you're still, a human being that might need to actually take a freaking day off every once in a while. Just a thought.
Yes, I do. You do have
And
to remind me, and it is true.
yeah, so everybody, we wanted to have an entrepreneurial conversation with you today because I yeah, I am learning so much. I could not I am so lucky to be doing this. I
Yeah.
am learning so much. It is so enriching. And one of the things I'm getting is like, I need to have certain things. Like yesterday, I had to stop working on the database in Notion because I was designing it and I got to the point where I literally couldn't see the pieces anymore and I was getting fuzzy. And so I had to stop and turn off all of my tech and go in the other room and turn on No Man's Sky and climb around in alien landscapes and make a little creature that is from a toxic planet and has little light bulbs built into it and it squeaks and it coos and it's a little weird dog cow thing, my pet. So it follows me around going, hello, strange creature. So I made that my hour and then came back. And now I have a little alien pet from a toxic land that has little light bulbs built into it. It's so cute. So Kellie, what is something that you do that is your way of resetting?
One of the things I do is to try to move more. So I try to get out for a walk. I've started a fitness program at my local Y. And part of the reason why that's great is because it dovetails neatly into picking our teenager up from school. It's right down the street from her high school. But I do a lot of work sitting right here in front of the laptop screen. And I need to not always sit here for what I'm doing to relax or whatever. And so I'll get up, I'll move. I've started listening to audiobooks so that I'm doing something while I'm out for a walk. And it often will make me walk a little bit longer as I get to a breaking point in the story where I can turn it off and my walk will be finished now.
Yep.
So the movement helps a lot. Just doing something different than sitting here, but also just for my physical self.
Yes. 100%. So for those watching and listening, what are the things that you do? How do you reset yourself? Where are you on your entrepreneurial journey? And if you're not an entrepreneur, is this new information for you or is this stuff that you're really familiar with?
Mhm.
We have coming up next month an interview with one of the people who's one of the masters of Notion and also of productivity from Rad Reads. And I'm really looking forward to that because part of my journey was being in a cohort in his program. And so I got a lot of what I've learned was stuff that I refreshed from 2 years ago, back when I was in his stuff.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
who are the people that you learn from? What are the programs or books or resources that you want to share? Let us know. Put it in the comments. Give us some feedback, and we will. That way, we can share it and keep building our community, our
Yeah.
ongoing mastery family. So that is it for today. We just had an entrepreneurial journey ramble. I've got my gallon of coffee in my mug.
I've got my full liter of tea in mine.
Awesome. So we will see y'all next time. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye.